the future, we may cover electric stunning on sheep and cattle, as well as gassing.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah.
Good cutting enhances the quality of good meat.
No, we'll
In his way, the meat cutter is an
then
artist. Poor cutting results in an inferior piece of meat, regardless of quality.
What up, meatheads? This is Travis, American Butcher, and this is the Meat Block Podcast, the weekly podcast by butchers for everyone. And this week I am joined by the one, the only. You've been promised him before, and I have delivered. He's up here in the Pacific Northwest. He's a good friend of mine, standby guy. We're teammates, and without any further delay, this is here we go, Bryan. Bryan, who are you? What's your full name?
Bryan Mayer.
How come for the longest time I thought your name was Brandon?
I don't know.
That's
There's Brandons out there that I'm sure cut me.
Yeah, that is weird.
Do I look like a Brandon?
No,
Brandon, not Brendan.
Brendan.
Brandon.
Is there a Brendan?
Brendan. I mean, sure.
Brendan Fraser. Yeah.
Brendan something. Musician.
Well, we're going to go eat some baked pasta, and then we're going to get back here, and it's going to be seamless. It's like you're not even going to know. You know, the burping.
Is there meat in it?
Yes, probably. Yeah, my mother-in-law made it. Nancy made it. You met Nancy. You stayed at her house. Yeah, it's a lovely Victorian, and the good part of Everett has a lot of shitty parts, but
It was like an oasis.
yeah, it's beautiful. You get to see the sound, and get to see the planes come and go and crash into the islands. Yeah, but we'll be back right after.
Good cutting enhances the quality of good meat. Poor cutting results in an inferior piece of meat, regardless of quality.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we're
was
back.
me.
We just ate. Had some ciders. You're drinking coffee, and it's 9:39 at night.
It's very, very little coffee. There's like, I don't know the ounces or grams or anything like that, but there's very little in there.
Okay. So, Bryan, who are you? Why are you here? No.
I didn't realize that this was going to happen that quickly.
Yeah.
We're going to get existential.
No, it's not going to be like that. But
Okay.
So, for those who are listening are a bunch of dum-dums, let's go through. Bryan is, I think, responsible in, take that how you may, for the resurgence of craft butchery here in America. And you have trained many people I've had the pleasure of working with, or maybe not. And, but you weren't always a butcher. So I know you had a career as a musician. So let's talk about that for the next hour. No. So what?
I mean, we can totally talk about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be very interesting. It's a very short-lived career.
Well,
in terms of excitement.
Well, I've been in bands, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of excitement. But
Was that
yeah, that was a wink and a nod.
okay? That wasn't very subtle.
No, it was a tip of the hat and wag of the finger. But before you got into butchery, what were you doing? And give me a timeline.
Oh well, geez. I went to college and I got a degree in economics and finance, which really just sort of showed that I could open up a book and study and take tests and do all that. And it wasn't something that I wanted to do. I think I sort of just did it to make a parent happy and all that for lots of different reasons. But I had always played music. It was a very important part of my life, and always wanted to make a career out of it, and kind of told myself that I would make the choice one day if I had to between the two, and I would choose music. So I was very fortunate. It was just kind of in the right place at the right time. I'm grateful. I worked really hard for it. I practiced all the time. And wound up in a band that had gotten signed to Columbia. And we were going to be the next big thing and all those lovely things that they promise you, which never materialized for lots of different reasons. So we got what was called was called, I don't know anymore, called shelved. So, which means that we recorded a record and it never came out. So basically just sat up on a shelf somewhere.
Did they make copies of the record, or did it reach the distribution phase?
No, it never reached anything. So, I mean, I have, copies of it and all that sort of thing. And when I'm feeling nostalgic, I'll listen to it. But, so that never went anywhere. But my music career did after that. And I worked for a really incredible production studio with two really talented folks in New York. I got to write and play on jingles, play on people's records, was a for-hire musician, so I would go out on the road. This was at a time when singer-songwriters were really big, so I'd get hired to go on these really great tours and see the country and see the world, and also had time for my own band, which I really cared a lot about. And so it was kind of a strange thing because, I loved playing music and I had these paycheck gigs, which I wasn't completely enamored with the music that I was playing, so to speak. But then I had my band that we played and toured and had a really sort of big following, I think. And we did that for many years until it just got really hard and I fell into food. I had a brief stint in advertising, which was not for me. Mm-hmm. And then I just started kind of navigating around the food world and was kind of popping into friends' restaurants and, kind of getting a taste for that. Thought maybe I'd go to culinary school and was advised against that. And I just kind of fell into butchery. I kind of did a little bit of stuff and cheese and a little bit of stuff and fish and just, that's what spoke to me.
So I just want to double back when you wrote jingles, because that piqued my interest. It reminded me of Uncle Jesse and Joey from Full House, because they also wrote jingles.
Yeah.
Are there any jingles out there that I would know?
No.
Oh, okay. Were they okay?
I mean, they were for CoverGirl, BMW.
Okay.
I think there was a few others in there.
Okay.
But they jingles in the sense that there are commercials and there's music in the background, mm-hmm. and that's it. I didn't write it wasn't any on a McDonald's level.
You didn't write I'm loving it?
No, unfortunately. Okay. JT got that one.
Yeah.
Or is that like a rumor, urban legend?
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, so nothing of that caliber.
Okay.
But yeah.
Maybe she's born with it.
Yeah, no.
Maybe it
wasn't that. No.
Okay. Well, you heard it here. Ryan wrote Double Mint commercials. The one we all know.
If that's what you're telling people.
Yeah. I said it, so shall it be said, so shall it be.
All right.
And then when you started cutting meat from
mm-hmm.
this colon, what were the steps taken to be a butcher? Was it something you wanted to do? Was it something that you saw this part of the industry? Did you come at it from, I don't know, is it just from musician to jingles to hanging around kitchens? There's still some steps missing.
I knew I wanted to, I was a musician. I was a guitar player, bass player.
Mm-hmm.
So,
like The Edge.
Not like The Edge.
Okay.
Like Larry. Is that the bass player in U2?
I thought The Edge was the bass player.
No, Edge is the guitar player.
I don't know. They're
Larry,
not very good.
Larry and somebody. He's a great guitar player.
Well, not him as an individual.
Maybe not technically.
I'm not a YouTube fan.
I'm not a YouTube fan per se, but, I think they write good songs,
They always download on my phone. And
I tell you what, when you hear a U2 song, you know it's a U2 song because of Edge's guitar playing.
Yeah.
So whether or not he's technically great, he has a very original sound that he created.
What's
so
the one they did
amazing.
at Red Rocks? What was that?
Sunday Bloody Sunday.
Yeah. That's a good album. Whatever that song.
It's a good song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Milo, get out of here. That's my dog. Okay. So
I mean, I enjoyed working with my hands. I loved the process of, I loved learning technique, and then I loved the idea of taking technique and going and doing it over and over and over and over again until you master it. Mm-hmm. Not that I was a master at music, but just the idea of like there's technique, learning chords and structures and patterns and all that, and then you go and you just do it for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
And so, there was a little shop that was opening up in my neighborhood in Brooklyn, and I just kind of walked in one day and said, I'd like to work here. I don't have any real experience. And I gave them a resume, and they just said, come in Monday. And I came in Monday, and the rest was kind of history. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think, so I worked there, and, the owners were really hands off, and I, started reading all the books that people read back then to get them into sort of the food movement and all that. And I had gone to places and popped in and out of shops and big meat production places, and sort of got an idea of what was happening within that world. But then, I started reading those books and really starting to pay attention to all the things that people talk about, where our food is coming from, who's growing it, who's raising it, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And it just sort of resonated with me. And this is like pre sort of like, movement on the East Coast, it was just kind of the right place at the right time. To really sort of start to do this and challenge myself. There wasn't a lot of content out there. Yeah, right. There wasn't a lot of YouTube videos like there are now. There certainly weren't any books.
The meat block wasn't around.
The meat block wasn't around. So it was like a lot of trial and error. And I would just buy primals from my purveyor and just teach myself. And so it was kind of fun. It was interesting. It was exciting, and I didn't really have anybody telling me what to do. So it was just kind of figuring it out on my own. Mm-hmm. And then I had a customer that told me about this couple in upstate New York, up in the Hudson Valley, that opened this shop, and that I would love it there. And I should call them, and I should go there, and I should sort of engross myself in meat culture. And that's what I did. I called them and went up there and spent a lot of time there, and surrounded myself with really awesome teachers and really awesome people, and just kind of went for it. And soon after that, I found myself up there, moving up there. Yeah.
All right, there may be a difference in audio sound because I readjusted some levels. So there.
You get your level straight?
Yeah.
Okay.
It may be super loud now. So let's fast forward a little bit.
Yes.
Because we don't want to tell the story in real time. You found yourself in, are we going to say company names? Are we?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I was up at Fleischer's, and it was really incredible. And this is not to say that like there weren't people obviously cutting meat and doing all these really amazing and incredible things, but here was this place, Fleischer's, that was founded by the Applestones, who created this space for all these things to happen. Right. So they were buying whole animal carcasses. They were setting up meat cases. They were having conversations with farmers. They were doing all these things that, for the most part, hadn't been done in a really long time. And they were very open and transparent and explicit with their customers about what went on. And it was a really incredible place to be for quite a while. I'll forever be in their debt for allowing me and, a very good friend and colleague of mine, Shiloh, to do what we did there, which was, kind of given free rein to teach people about butchery, about slaughter, about raising livestock, how to set up meat cases, how to do a little bit of curing and value added and sausage making. And they really trusted us, and I'm really grateful for that.
So when you're developing your meat program, what did you want to get across to the students or to the apprentice? Like, what besides skill, I guess. Hey.
Well, I think for the most part, most of the people that came to us had no previous culinary background, right? They weren't chefs. They didn't work in shops or anything like that. There were a lot of people that were coming to this as a second, maybe third career, maybe a few food tourists every now and then. But I think the main thing that I always tried to stress was that this was just a stopping off place, that you were coming here to see a way that this was done, but your education and your learning experience wasn't done with that, that you don't go to law school and graduate and pass the bar exam and become a Supreme Court justice. You don't go to med school and pass your boards and become a chief of surgery, right? And so this was just a place. We happened to do it a certain way. We were more than happy to show other ways, but you would go and you would continue your journey and continue to learn. So I think that was, for me at least, that was the main thing that I tried to emphasize.
Yeah, and I imagine where it's like any teaching program, I've heard people say that they could take anyone and make them into a cutter. And my personal experience is I certainly cannot. That there is that drive, or that there is that thing that you need from to make sure they're not that they have the dexterity, that they're not a know-it-all or something.
Sure, I think but that's true about anything, right? I don't think you can teach somebody to paint, right? It doesn't necessarily make them an artist, right?
Yeah.
You can give somebody a Nikon and show them how to snap it and shoot pictures, but it doesn't make them a photographer, right?
Yeah.
So you can put a knife in somebody's hand and show them a way around a carcass or how to cut a steak, but again, it's not for everybody, and obviously there are going to be different levels, and people are going to excel at certain things, and leaving Fleischer's wasn't an easy thing to do. I loved it there. I met incredible people there. I was very, I was grateful for the experience and honored to be able to teach people, and to watch them go out and be successful. I think that's probably the thing that I'm most proud about, is to see all these people that were students and then they became friends and then colleagues, and to watch them open up successful businesses. But I think you have a moment where you think you want to do something different and maybe have an idea and kind of want to branch out and try something. And I thought I wanted to do that, and I tried. So,
well, trying is the first step to failure. So I just want to put that out there, everybody.
Okay.
Nah, I'm joking. Well, it is.
I mean, that's an option,
yeah.
Or not an option, but something that can occur.
Yeah, I take a strong stance on trying anything new.
Yeah,
I'm joking. This is called sarcasm for you guys just joining.
Do you get a lot of people that pick up the podcast
in the middle of it? Yeah, a lot of them.
Or do you mean just joining the meat block in general? Does somebody click on and go fuck the first 3-4 minutes. I'm going right. They're going to talk about bullshit, and then they're going to go I feel like 15 minutes in, they're really going to hit their stride.
Yeah.
Is that, do you get a lot of that?
Surprisingly, a lot of the YouTube or the comments are, I just started listening to the meat block. I find the first 20 minutes unbearable. And
what are we at right now?
We're at
19 minutes.
I know.
And I'm sure it's been pretty unbearable. I'm sorry.
It's okay. And usually that first 19 minutes is David's segment. So I don't know what that says about David.
I'm not. I don't.
I'm joking, David.
I
No one
don't
ever
comment
says
on
that. No one says.
Well, now we're at the 20-minute mark. Now shit's gonna get interesting.
Yeah. Now we're gonna go through our contacts. I have my phone out, and Bryan has his phone out, and we're just going to talk freely about what we think about people we know in the industry.
Do you want to do that? Do you want to, like, the first person that comes up in your contact list? Do you want to say what you think about them?
Yeah. So
Let's not do that.
Hold on. And contacts.
Did you set this up?
Okay. Let's talk about. It looks a bunch of people you don't know. So
I love talking about people I don't know
who aren't in the industry.
Oh,
All right, so that game's not going to work.
all right.
What do you think of my friend Andy Chang?
Sounds like a good guy.
He is. He's a sushi chef.
He is.
Very nice.
I was going to say tennis player,
Okay.
maybe because I'm thinking like Andy Roderick or something like that. I don't know.
He has a Chinese last name, but he is a sushi chef.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, other people from other cultures can make other cultures' foods.
Mm-mm.
They can do that,
Yeah. Well, I was just trying to make it.
and they can do it well too.
All right. So up next, I got Amelia Posada. All right. If you're just joining us, we went through every single list in my phone. They got pretty bad, and I with all of the contacts with all 336.
Is that a lot?
I don't think so.
No,
No.
I have no basis for comparison.
Well,
I
we
don't
just
know.
did it. So,
Yeah. I mean, it feels like a lot, but
yeah. We just had to edit out 3 hours of this podcast. But let's talk about you left.
I left. I went to Philly
Mm-hmm.
with a dream,
Yeah.
with an idea, and you know, not an original idea. I remember somebody asking me about, like, what are you going to do in Philly? What's your thing? And I was like, well, I got this concept, and I started, and their face contorted when I said concept, and I was like, that's a stupid thing. Concept. I'm going to open up a restaurant and a butcher shop and a classroom space, and going to talk about sourcing regionally and locally and giving people access to, you know, affordable food and all those things, approachable and all that stuff. And
Yeah,
of course, none of that happened.
Well, I don't know at what point it stopped happening, but that's a huge undertaking to take on, opening up a restaurant or opening up a butcher shop, let alone doing both to supply each other and then also have an educational standpoint or educational center. One, you're going to need a big space, and then sounds like you're going to have to work with people too.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's my water.
Yeah. Could have taken the cap off instead of using the sports top.
Well, I didn't want to spill anything,
Okay.
so I'm sorry. Yeah, it was a huge undertaking. I had a business partner, and you know, I think in theory, it was really a great idea. And again, not an idea that was original. There were people doing things sort of like it, but you know, there wasn't really anything in Philly like that. There were some people doing there was a handful of people in Philly doing some interesting things, but I didn't think anybody was particularly vocal about it, or at least not as vocal as I like to be about things. And perhaps that's a downfall. But yeah, it took a really long time to get open. It was a very stressful period.
Yeah.
But in that time, I managed to meet some really incredible, amazing people. My friend Dean, from Wybook Farms, my buddy Kevin Tucker. Yeah, just some really, really awesome people. My buddy Alex, owns a couple of food trucks, a catering business, and just a whole list of like lovely people that if I had gotten down there and things had gone totally according to plan and we had gotten open and everything was firing, I wouldn't have been able to do that stuff. And so I'm kind of grateful that it didn't work out the way that I had imagined it to work out.
And then because you've done a lot of consulting and you've been in shops that have done very well.
Mm-hmm.
What advice when people approach you and say, I want to open this almost like the whole animal, maybe artisanal butcher shop, what advice besides do you have?
Don't do it.
No, besides don't.
That's it. I think, oh God, what advice? Know the area that you're going into. It's not, this is a niche business, right?
Yeah.
And when I started out, I was totally idealistic and thought, we were going to change the world and, this was going to change everything and we were going to make it more affordable and accessible and all that sort of thing. And I don't think we necessarily did that, but I think what happened in Kingston, New York was the beginning of the conversation. And I think what you see happening right now is largely, I don't know, maybe I'm overstepping here, due to what the Applestones created and then allowed us to run with.
Yeah.
We started that conversation, and then you just had all these other folks that really added to it, all the cats at the meat hook and, go across the country and there's folks at the local butcher shop and, Butcher and Larder, and then, down in Austin and everywhere, and I think it all started, in that little sort of that Genesis moment in Kingston. Wait, what was the question? Advice. I like just be intentional, a lot of my opinions have evolved as I've been doing this for a long time, and I've talked to a lot of people, and and that's part of growing and all of that. I be open, understand that it's not binary, that being rigid isn't necessarily a good thing, and just make sure that you're transparent and open and honest. If you want to sell whole animals, that's awesome. If you just want to buy parts, that's great. If you want to use a bandsaw, wonderful. If you just want to saw everything by hand, awesome. Whatever. I think at this point I've had enough of like chest thumping bro-y bullshit in this particular field to last a lifetime.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, coming from music industry and all that, like you see it all over the place. And I think just be open, be honest, be transparent, put the farmer first. That should be, to me, that's the thing that I look for when I listen to butchers talk, whether they mention their farmers or whether they don't, whether they make it all about them or whether they make it about the larger community,
Yeah.
And again, talk about you and the work that you do and all that, but understand that you're just a piece of this. You're a cog in this wheel. And
the first step to good butchery is good animal husbandry.
Yeah. I mean, like most people don't understand that, probably outside of the farmer, the person that's probably equally responsible for your incredible meat in the butcher case is the slaughterman.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody wants to think about that, but everything that a slaughterman does during that process can change everything about that carcass.
Yeah.
And so, I think that, so I think, just be transparent, let the customer know, let them make the choice.
Yeah.
If you give them all the information.
I like that because it's anyone who's listening to this show knows where I stand on buzzwords and know where I stand on, manipulation, or not manipulation, but just saying things to sell stuff and then not really knowing the full weight of what that word sustainable means or local means. we were having that conversation earlier about like when someone says it's local to the state of California. Well, California is pretty big.
Yeah.
And how it would be I would be impressed if there was a shop in Rhode Island that said everything's local to the state of Rhode Island.
That would be incredible.
Yeah.
And highly unlikely.
Yeah. But they just,
and there's nothing wrong with supporting other people that are doing other great things that don't happen to be in whatever, geographical circle that you have given as your sort of, I don't know if people still do this, but the whole like, it's from 15 miles away or 30 miles away or 50 miles away. And it's like, I don't know, like, that's wonderful. But if those are like hothouse tomatoes or something like, or why do I want that?
Well, what if you live like, down the street from the IVP plant?
Yeah.
It's only a mile away.
Yeah. It's local.
Because everything's local to somebody.
Yeah. Just, and so, I think a lot of the sort of these things that maybe have become kind of platitudes, I don't know, they just don't really serve me anymore. So I want to get as much meat to as many people as I can.
Yeah.
And that's what I care about. I don't want to help 2 farmers. I want to help 200.
Yeah.
Right? Like that should be the goal.
Yeah. I like that. All right. So, why are you in Washington? Why are you in the actual physical Meat Block studio? I think you're the first.
Am I the first in-studio guest?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't have like a lot of, I don't know why I envisioned like a Zoo morning show or something like that.
Oh, like, well, you've listened to the show, right?
Yeah.
It's just not my personality.
No, I know. That wasn't a joke.
Yeah. I don't know. I one of the feedback I got criticism wise was someone saying that my voice was too monotone, but this is how I legitimately talk.
They need to listen to more like ASMR. Is that right? ASMR?
Yeah. I'm more lively in person.
Gotta hit them to some of that stuff and then maybe they'll come back and revisit this show and just kind of go into some deep meditative state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet there's some people who listen to this while they're going to sleep. Maybe not. Right now with your voice too, it's like the baritone hour.
Is it too much?
I like it.
Thank you.
So, but what brings you to Washington?
What brings me to sunny Washington? How about that?
Yeah.
How about I've been here 3 weeks, and today was the first day that it rained.
I know
that it's been 85, maybe 90, and sunny every day.
Yeah,
it's incredible. It's almost enough to trick you into moving here.
I love living in Washington. I also love terrible weather.
Yeah. I like weather.
Yes. I like seasons.
I do. Although they're getting sort of mixed up and jumbled around lately, but
yeah,
they kind of still exist.
Yeah.
Sort of.
When I lived when I was growing up in Santa Barbara, I'd always say like, I love seasons. That's why I pay more to not have the shitty ones.
Fair enough.
But I do like winter.
But what does everybody in New York say? What do we say?
I don't know.
We pay for shittiness all the time.
You just love it.
We just love shittiness.
Yeah. And people.
We love a crumbling transit system and crappy weather and decaying infrastructure and all of that.
I think my agoraphobia would. Ugh. That sounds awful.
It's not bad. It's good. It's fun. I mean, I don't live there anymore.
Yeah. That's how fun it is.
I mean, Northeast cities are Northeast cities.
Yeah.
I think. Although, they have their.
Well, the East Coast is essentially just one giant city to me.
Stop that. No, it's not. I mean, come on. Really?
Nah.
It's like New York City and Jacksonville are the same city.
No, I'm saying like, okay, New York and New England. Like how Philly blends into.
You can't be serious with that.
I don't know. One time I was driving around Philadelphia
Okay.
in the GPS. No, I was driving around in Jersey.
Okay.
I was driving around in one of them.
Those are two different states.
I know. But the GPS
Yes. They are very close to each other.
had no avoid toll roads on it.
Okay.
And I ended up in the other. And if I started in Philly, I ended up in Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And if I started in Jersey, I ended up in Philly and couldn't tell you the difference. Besides that, I was very far away. At one point, I saw light, the Boathouse Road.
Boathouse Row. Yeah.
Is that what's
Well, the crew teams have their, it's lovely. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And I was like, huh. Or no, Lighthouse. I don't know. Where all the.
Yeah. On the Schuylkill River. I probably totally mispronounced that as a non-Philadelphian, which I often do.
Okay.
But I'm sure there's a better, but there's a river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus like here in Washington,
Mm-hmm.
where there's just green in Seattle.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's beautiful. Seattle's beautiful.
I love the city of Boston. But
What do you love about it?
you
You can't say that without me asking, what do you love about it?
I love that it's I don't know, the old and architecture and the history. So the whole point of this was segueing,
It's a lot of digression.
to
I'm doing that on purpose.
it's fine.
So I don't want to talk about butchery.
I know. But you're in Washington.
I am in Washington
Why are you?
to butcher. I am here to hang out with you. This whole trip was kind of planned around a couple of things. Number one was to go to Sacramento and hang out with the Team USA folks for the World Butcher Challenge, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out, which we are now teammates on with with the rest of the crew, and super honored and grateful. And I had met Danny and Paul at a place called Hidden Villa in Palo Alto, or Los Altos Hills. I do some work with the James Beard Foundation, and we host these meat summits, and we did one there, and had a bunch of folks come down, and we kind of talk about issues pertaining to sourcing local and properly raised meats and getting them on the menus of restaurants and into stores. And so lots of people come to these events that are hosted, and local politicians and cattle association folks and shop owners and restaurateurs. And, so we had a bunch of folks down, and Paul, and Danny, who's the owner of Taylor's Meat Market Sacramento, came, and we bonded as butchers might do over a hog that I was slaughtering in a butcher demo, and kind of told me about what was happening with the World Butcher Challenge. And I told them, I would totally support anything and everything they did. And so much so that when we did the demo, and it was a room full of probably mostly very wealthy tech folks, I sort of maybe coerced them into, I don't know, opening up their wallets or something like that. Probably they didn't, but we had a captive audience. Yeah. I had knives, so there you go. So months pass, and here's this offer to come to Sacramento, and then I kind of wrapped that around going back to Hidden Villa and working with Blair, who's the livestock manager there, and doing this fundraiser event, which is super awesome with this really awesome Argentinian gentleman, Tibu. So we did sort of a very Patagonian kind of cookout, and then came up to Washington to work with a meat blocker, Ryan, on a mobile processing slaughter unit. So I've been up here for
the first USDA mobile processing unit
in the country.
Yeah.
Run by a really incredibly talented, gifted, smart individual.
Yeah.
Jim.
Yeah. And he runs a tight ship in the sense that I worked on a mobile USDA unit. It was like the Walmart version of theirs. It was the knockoff version.
This is like the Tiffany's version,
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
It's incredible. The precision, the cleanliness, all the things that make you feel good about this industry and the process. It's encompassed in what they do.
There's no wasted steps when watching these people work.
Yeah.
And it's wow. I should get Jim on the show.
You should. Would he come on the show?
I don't know. I'd have to ask Ryan or Jim because I'm friends with him too.
You know him. Yeah.
So circling back to doing work at the James Beard, do they do they have awards, right?
I think you know that.
And one of them's for broadcasting, I believe.
Yes.
And
are you angling? I don't have an in there.
Okay.
I'm just the guy that shows up and talks about meat every now and then and slaughters some animals and,
well, just talk up the meat block.
A Wendell Berry poem, and then everybody goes home.
Just talk up the meat block around the water cooler next time you're there.
Okay. Just drop it.
Yeah, just say
times.
like, sure heard a lot about this meat block, this great podcast. And then, like Tobias, when he talks himself up around the water cooler in Arrested Development.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So tired of hearing about this meat block and how great they are.
I can do that.
Yeah. If you also have an in at the James Beard, feel free to do that too.
I don't have an in.
You are in.
I am in. I guess so. I don't know.
You have the James Beard.
Well,
it's a physical beard, right?
It's a physical. It comes and goes. You
Okay.
know, I grow it in. It gets super bushy, and then I shave it all off and whatever. But no, it's wonderful, and I'm again grateful and honored to work with them and a whole bunch of other folks that I work with. And I'm fortunate to get to do something that I love to do and to talk about it and to maybe convince people to make better choices.
Yeah.
Certainly influential people like chefs make better choices.
And then it trickles down.
I hope so. I mean, that's the goal, right? Is to, make this product more affordable and accessible and have everybody be able to participate. That's true sustainability.
Yeah. It's funny how a lot of shops that say they're sustainable aren't around anymore.
Yes, there's that. They do come and go these days, it seems, unfortunately. I don't like to see anybody close, but I think it's 2018. It's a different landscape. And again, I think going back to, something that we were talking before, in that, like, I think, at the genesis of this whole movement, sure, the idea was like, yeah, there could be a local butcher shop again on every corner, and this is how people are going to shop again. And, I think that was very idealistic. And it just didn't work out that way. But what it did was it started the conversation. I think it's amazing that you can, you take Whole Foods out of the equation, but the fact that Whole Foods is, can bring in, meat that is way better than you could ever get in a supermarket before. Yeah. In the Northeast, you can go into a Whole Foods and buy white oak pastured grass-fed beef and pastured chickens and all that sort of stuff. But not only that, you can, I spend some time down in Florida. I have family that does the New York and Northeast migration down there, and you can roll into Publix's and find like real legitimate grass-fed beef and legitimate pastured chickens and free running and free roaming and whatever other titles you want to give, eggs and all that sort of stuff. And I'd like to think that was maybe started by the work that we did, back in Kingston.
Well, I'm just going to say that's directly because of the work you did in Kingston. You heard it here, folks. You heard it here first.
Not me.
Bryan Mayer invented butchering.
That is not what happened.
Yeah. He's being false modest. He's shaking his head in agreement.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about the idea of But let's talk about the craft, the physical craft itself.
Mhm.
In what advice do you have to people who want to learn whole animal artisanal craft butchery?
Go work at a lot of places, right? Like go work on a farm, go do some slaughter, go work in a Whole Foods or a big supermarket or store, go work in a artisanal butcher shop, go have as many experiences as possible, right? Because you may not find that one is a fit for you. And I think that's where we are now with meat, is that there's lots of different alternatives out there to just the one place. And they're not all going to do things the same way, right? They all do things a little bit differently. And I think you just want to surround yourself with people that are willing to teach you positive environment and different environments where you're going to get to see and learn different things.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
And then open up a burger shop.
I like that because you can always turn grind.
Yeah. There's no better, you come up with a better use for trim than a hamburger.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Can't mess up a hamburger.
I mean, you can.
Yeah.
And many people do.
I did go out to eat recently with someone. Who was it? I need to just make sure when I tell this story that they're not a listener. Who was it?
You can just make up a name, male or female.
It was Stan.
Stan?
Yeah, so Stan.
That's not a real person.
Who was it? It was that's
that's a shitty made up name.
Stan's good, like Eminem Stan. Like a fan Stan.
Yeah.
It's totally Stan me. But no, where was it my brother? No. I was somewhere and someone ordered a burger and someone's like, medium rare. And then they ordered it and they're like, well done. And I just looked at them like, ugh. like,
why would you do that?
Yeah, like, who are you?
I mean, it's fine, whatever.
Yeah. It's your, it's your choice to do with.
Yeah.
But like, why?
That person probably doesn't have taste buds.
Mm-mm.
No.
Anything you want to end on before I do switch it to something else?
Our time is up. That's it.
No.
We're going to a different subject.
No, I'm going to go grab my iPad. Go live on Instagram and then ask people questions, and then we're gonna answer them right then.
Yeah, I love that.
All right, so that's going to be in a future episode. And so, what do you want to say? How would you describe yourself? Musician. I'm going to describe you. Bryan Mayer, musician, butcher, slaughterman.
I like to write a little bit. I do that.
Writer, landscaper.
Yeah, you had me landscaping today.
Yeah.
You took me back to, I used to get shipped off to Long Island in the summertime, and I would work with my cousins who had a landscape business.
Yeah.
I worked a weed whacker.
Yeah, Brian's visiting me in a unique time where I'm trying to put my house on the market within 3 days. And there's a lot of work.
Yeah. Why would you do that to yourself?
Because I have the opportunity to live on the beach.
Yeah, I know. That's wonderful. Absolutely.
Yeah. But I just wish I had more time.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Dust in the wind. All right. Till next time, keep your knife sharp.
won? Was many lost? Tell me who has won? The trenches dug within our hearts, and mothers, children, brothers, sisters torn apart. Sunday, bloody Sunday. Sunday, bloody Sunday. How long must we sing the song? How long? Within these one, too
Totally say that. So, you asked me if there was anything else that I wanted to say. And,
Yes, I recall such words.
And how completely absent-minded and selfish of me to not thank you for
I was thinking the same thing.
having me on. Yeah. But
That was pretty nice of me.
But even larger, thank you and David and Ryan for doing this show and giving a voice to butchers and highlighting the craft and creating a space where people can come and talk about it.
Oh, thank you. Cockiness aside, never thought Meat Block would be anything other than me buying podcasting equipment.
You have some lovely equipment, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
I'm slightly envious. As a former studio nerd, it's pretty awesome. I'm going to bring my bass out next time.
Yep, we could record. I got a 16-track recorder.
I know.
And that could record all simultaneously.
You only need 4, man.
I know. But thank you. And yeah, you're going to be on the show continuous. I'm going to bring my digital recorder down to all practices and hopefully start snagging interviews with other teammates. Be on the lookout for Bryan and many of his adventures. And I think one of the most adventure I'm looking forward to is being on the Butchers of America team with you.
That's going to be pretty cool.
It's going to be pretty awesome.
Right? I mean, come on. If somebody asks you about that and you're like, oh, it's okay. You're like, stop that.
Yeah.
Like, just say it's cool and it's awesome that you get to go and represent the United States at the World Butcher Challenge with all these fantastic butchers from around the world and just bringing more awareness to the craft that is not dying. It's like, why do people talk about this craft dying? I think they just don't really know what they're talking about. It's not dying. And
no,
it's getting
there.
more visible, and the quality of the work and the craftsmanship is just getting better and better, and the camaraderie is incredible. And yeah, so it's awesome.
Yeah. And we're going to do many shows. Not many. We're going to do many shows about the WBC, about the Butchers of America. We're going to do shows about how to give us money, how to give us your money, give us money. And yeah, if you want to give us money, DM me. If you work for a company and are able to give us money, and you sell products and or services, then email me and I will get you in touch with how sponsorship, and we could certainly use help, and we would certainly, promote your product and or service.
Yeah. You could email me or DM me or whatever people do, but you're probably a better person for that than I am.
I can tell you what I can do with that email. I'm going to send you an email back and then CC some people on that email, and then we're going to take it from there. It's going to be real gentle. It's going to go real smooth. Before you know it, you're giving us money.
Just lull them right into it.
Yeah. So, say, for example, you may own a PPE company, and you've asked me to do a show on PPE in the past. And
look at you with the industry terminology.
Yeah.
Just
this would be a great...
throwing it out there.
I would be inclined to do that show if you were to help sponsor Butchers of America for the 2020 WBC.
Travis, what do sponsors get? What are some of the...
Well, since I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. What they're going to get is they're going to get an email from me explaining exactly what they get.
What they get.
Yeah, different price points and things like that.
Yeah, there's different price points, and then you get different benefits from that, leading all the way up to stuff on our uniforms or something. Like, what do they call that? Do we have uniforms?
I don't know if we get coats, whites, rocks, or what. But I'm waiting with anticipation.
You know what kind of aprons I've been using lately that I really like? The frocks is the wraparound ones. Like
but those are like baseball sleeve ones. The sleeves only go quarter, or like they stop at 3/4.
That's okay. I always have a sweatshirt on underneath.
I like those as well.
In the cold cutting room. Your cold cutting room is really cold, by the way.
Yes, we keep it at 40-something degrees.
Yeah, cold. It's colder than that.
And I leave the cooler door open all day long.
Yeah. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I like it cold.
And I mean, that's what you want. You don't want to hear me go like, it's really hot in your cutting room.
You know what we should do is put all this product
I was
back
sweating
into the cooler
all day.
Yeah.
What was going on in there? Maybe you should close the door.
I love being cold. That's why I live in Washington. I love crappy weather.
But I mean, it's not like it's cold here.
Not now.
I mean, it's not like it's cold like Northeast winter, 9 degrees and everything is frozen.
Yeah.
Cold.
Every person I met from the East Coast always tells me about how cold it is. So I'm going to start talking about how bad LA traffic is.
But New York traffic, anybody that says that to me, I say this. I say, have you ever been on the BQE or the Long Island Expressway?
I was there last
And then
week.
they say no. But I've been on the 5 and all those, and the 10 and all that. And yeah, it sucks, but I don't know, whatever. I will take sitting in my car, a car, with a podcast on. I'm over the subway.
Yeah. I'll say that
Somebody bumping up against you and they're just sweaty and greasy. And I had somebody about 3 weeks ago, they were eating a sandwich next to me and they bit into the sandwich and just meat flew out the other end of the sandwich. And we just looked at each other and I just shook my head and he got up and he moved away from me. No apology.
Is it a completely empty subway?
And no, it wasn't.
Right
It wasn't an empty subway, but that does happen all the time.
And
But and at that moment, I just thought, whatever.
You didn't turn to him and Lady in the Trampet?
Whatever for climate change. I just would really like to be in a car right now with, and not have sandwich stuff on my
Well,
leg.
LA's a terrible city as far as built for. Well, it's a terrible city in general. But
Stop that.
I'm
It's
joking.
an awesome city, right? I think it is, but I don't live there, so.
It's an inconvenient city in the sense where it's like, say you're dating someone, you'd be like, oh, you live, near the stadium, and I live on the west side.
Yeah, but that happens everywhere, man.
Yeah.
You watch Seinfeld, like you live in New York and you're like dating, and you're in Brooklyn and you're dating somebody that lives on the Upper West Side. That is not going to work, man.
But
You are not hopping on that. So I don't care, Uber, Lyft, taxis. You're not hopping on. That's a $50 cab ride.
But one thing that I do love about Los Angeles, traffic in Los Angeles is just a part of life. That's not what I love about Los Angeles. But what I love about it is there is truly something to do every night of the week. There's truly clubs and performances and blues and jazz and fucking great things going on every night of the week. You could find a full bar, a full club full of locals, nice people and transplants.
I don't do those things anymore.
I did when I lived there.
Yeah.
I also loved the weird, macabre history of Los Angeles. I don't know. And that was our podcast about Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sandwiches on the train.
And sandwiches.
You're not supposed to eat food on the subways. It's very clearly indicated. No drinking, no food.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't say anything about clipping nails. And there are a lot of people that clip their nails on the subway.
That's gross.
Yeah. That's that and when somebody decides to brush their hair sitting next to me and they're like, flecking all their hair stuff on me.
Well, there's like cities
dandruff and stuff.
Like Austin and cities that weren't designed with traffic in mind or thinking they were going to have the influx because now,
because everybody wants to live everywhere but where they live right now. Right?
Exactly. People are moving that. And like where city was designed.
Well, there's lots of places to work and lots of places to live. You don't have to live in one place anymore. Yeah. I mean, there are some people that have to, and there's economic reasons why, but
Now, Boston is a city with traffic that I love Boston. We talked about it earlier.
You do. But Boston has shitty traffic, man.
I would say it has worse traffic than Los Angeles in the sense that, like, for a city that was designed before, Boston was designed when there weren't cars.
Sure.
They converted a bunch of trails and horse roads into just things that make no sense.
Yeah. Like, why would you put a bus on that road?
Yeah.
I'm amazed in Philly because they have some really tiny streets and these buses go down.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they do it.
The good thing about Seattle is that the city burned down and they rebuilt it. And,
yeah.
And that's what you should do tomorrow. Don't go to the Space Needle. Go to live. I want to live vicariously through you.
All right, I'll go. Where am I going tomorrow? I went to Pike's Place twice.
Oh, I was going to say.
I bought some stuff.
go on the Seattle Underground tour.
Yeah, you're sending me on one of those. I'm gonna hop on the big bus.
Mm-mm. It's all underground because the city burnt down and they just built the city on top of the old city.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a walking tour.
What's up with that gum wall? Whose idea was that?
It's gross.
It's disgusting. And people just stand there and like take pictures of people.
I just want to push someone.
Disgusting chewed gum on the wall.
Yeah. If you're at the gum wall,
yeah,
go check out the aquarium because you're right there.
I don't know.
Go on the Ferris wheel. It's very.
I'm
boring.
terrified of heights, so I won't go on that. Why do people like aquariums so much, but like zoos depress them? I feel like an aquarium is way more depressing than a zoo.
I don't know, but I love aquariums
because the zoo is depressing, right?
Yes, it is very depressing.
I mean, I get what they do. I understand zoological societies and all that stuff and rehabilitation of animals, but
animal and fauna programs.
Yeah. But I don't know. An aquarium just is like a sad place.
I think it's not that sad. They're designed in a way where they like don't realize that.
Really?
Maybe.
You can see that big old whale shark down in Atlanta, and you think that thing is happy in there?
Fish only have like what, a 3-second memory?
I don't know. It's a whale shark.
That's
it's a mammal.
But no, it's not.
What?
Whale shark isn't a mammal.
Yeah. Isn't it a mammal? Or is it it's a shark?
It
is a fish?
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
I should know that. They just call it a whale shark because it's big.
Yeah. Big.
Sorry.
All right.
It's a fish.
We'll end on the fact that Bryan
can you erase that part? I'm just saying it's not happy in there.
Yeah.
It can't be.
But I like looking at them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about when you go to like the Monterey Bay Aquarium?
I've never been.
Oh, you should do that tomorrow. It's nowhere near here.
It is absolutely 100% nowhere near. I'm struggling with maybe driving to Portland tomorrow. You think I'm going to drive? How much farther is that? Another 3 hours or something? I don't know.
Another 14.
14 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd be close.
I have no concept. I have no concept of it. Yeah. So that's not going to happen.
All right.
So whale sharks are fish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Till next time, keep your knife sharp and live in the marsh.